Hey, everybody, welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast. I just did a dramatic pause there to make this podcast seem more significant than it is. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about goals, resolutions, stuff like that, which is something we think you should do for your business. And Sean and I actually spent a crap load of time, I want to say like 5 hours total, hashing out the goals, and then Sean spent a triple crap load of time writing it out. And I imagine you guys talked at least a little bit because I know Dave had tossed some goals into the pot. So
Yeah,
lots of goal
we
time.
talked a little bit, and then Dave, when we sent him the final goals, he was like, "Awesome," and enthusiastic, which usually I think the goals overwhelm him, and I'm not saying these didn't overwhelm him, but I think there was enthusiasm
I
around.
was on drugs at the time.
I can't tell if Sean is on the wrong mic or if you're just not talking into your mic.
Oh, hold on, let me see.
It's every time now is what's weird. There's some sort of strange situation going on. So anyway,
It
that's what we're
says
gonna.
this is the right mic.
I don't know. It just sounds different. Maybe it's me. Audra can tell us. She'll yell at you if it's wrong.
Dave,
So
does it sound
anyways,
right to you?
no, I
'Cause
guess it's right. You
that stuff
talk
is really
obliquely to
exciting
the mic.
for
You do this sort
the
of thing.
listeners. Oh,
Um,
right.
Anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about today, and we think you should make goals. So there you go. Because otherwise, how are you going to know what you're aiming for in your business? So we're going to talk about that. So anything cool happen this week?
I have this. Well, if you're audio only, you can't see this.
I have this.
It's Steve Camm's book, Level Up Your Life, which just came out this week, and I had a galley copy. I don't know, like a couple of months ago that I glanced through, but I got this in the mail. I didn't even know it was coming. Steve just sent it. It's a hardback, and it's super super nice, like the book itself. And what's cool is I really like this cover, but I didn't realize this until I looked at the back, and it says cover design by Erin Tyler, and she's my friend. She lives here in Austin, and I didn't know she did the cover. But that's neither here nor there. The actual book is pretty cool, and I think it's something that a lot of writers are kind of nerdy or geeky, or we don't work out enough just by nature, and Steve Camm, you can hear him on an Iterate and Optimize episode that we did. He's just an interesting guy who his business is called Nerd Fitness, and I love that business name because you kind of know immediately what it is. But for example, like he has a whole thing where they've mapped out the mileage, to do the whole trip from the Shire to Mordor, and you can, log your miles in that way. And the whole premise of the book is it's called Leveling Up Your Life, and it's all about how you can kind of treat your life like a video game and just get better. And I don't know, it goes to my way of thinking as far as like setting goals, and it completely goes in with this week's episode where you talk about goals, you find ways to measure it, but it's just in really geeky, nerdy language that I think anybody who likes to play video games or read comic books or do any of that is anybody who wants to be the hero of their own story kind of would really dig it. And I think that writers in general need to be more physical. They need to exercise more, and it's a book that I don't know talks about doing that in ways that are just fun.
I have a real something cool and a fake something cool. So the fake something cool is just basically shit that I forgot to mention. So it's cool, but I forgot to mention it before we started something cool. So and that was just to remind everybody, since we're really trucking on this, is the Smarter Artist Summit. So it's cool, but it's not my real something, because we have under 100 tickets left. So we're sort of official on that, and that's really going. And so I sent an email about this yesterday, and it's on my mind. So hopefully by the time this hits the feed, when you guys hear this, if you want to go, you can still get in. I would think so, but don't dally, because it's sort of a limited seating situation. And that's smarterartistsummit.com, and that's really exciting because we talked to Joanna yesterday, and talking about formalizing an agenda and all of that.
Yeah,
So
this will be the biggest group of friends that we've ever had in one place, and it's exciting to see both the people who are coming from overseas. Like we're getting I don't know, a pretty big group of people who are coming from all over the world, and how many people, like what is it up to There's a group of people who want us to go to Australia now, right?
Yeah, I
For
heard
the
that there
world
were
tour.
4 definite people who said go to Australia,
Yeah,
but
I'll go if
unfortunately
it's in
4 pays
Australia.
for one of our plane tickets. So
I don't know that it even does that, but yeah, it's
If
just
you think you have a problem getting me to Texas,
yeah, I was actually just thinking, what would it take to get Dave to Australia?
oh, I think that's the name of a
Because
show.
it's not just the distance; it's the mortal dangers that surround them every day.
Fire NATOs,
Yeah, there's Fire
Carl.
Carl,
I would
maybe
love.
4 tickets pays for Dave's security detail to keep Carl from wounding him in some way.
I would love to do an overseas smart artist someday. We're definitely not there, but that would be cool.
But it's awesome to see how excited people are, and I'm kind of giddy thinking about having 200 really smart writers networking and breaking bread and just sharing knowledge, which is going to be amazing. And the speakers, I'm really really excited to see a lot of these people in person who I haven't seen before. And Joanna said it's going to be weird,
It
which
will
I would
be
agree.
weird.
It'll be
I
weird
think,
for like a few minutes, and then
yeah, it'll be weird for the
awesome.
first few minutes.
That's just because she's going to be near me. Really.
Well, I think you're going to make
Well,
it.
she also said she said weird, but then she
everyone.
separately said disturbing, and I think
No, I think weird is universal. I think disturbing is specific to Dave.
right.
Come for the weird, stay for the disturbing.
The weird.
We also got somebody who said that they would come if we promised to keep Dave in chains.
And Dave made a comment that was a throwaway, but that I actually did laugh out loud at, which was that Dave in Chains was the worst name for an Alice in Chains cover band ever.
I'm the man in the box.
Did you know
Literally.
my sister was Alice in Chains for Halloween when she was 16, and she dressed up as Alice in Wonderland, but all in chains. It was a cool costume.
I'm resisting every urge I have to make a comment right now.
Yeah, I think I might know what your comment is, Dave. So anyway, the my real one is that and Sean actually already kind of made this too, so I'm just recycling.
Hey,
something.
wait. Just to be clear, you kind of didn't resist the urge. If you said you're resisting the urge.
I don't.
I have
Anyway.
nothing to say.
Yeah. So it's that Sean mentioned a while ago that he got a Fitbit, and I got one too. And I think Sean actually upgraded. He's with the Jawbone now after luring me. So he's got that one. But it's
Keeping up with the Sean.
well, because what it is I just thought it was kind of a neat gadget, the idea of like tracking steps and tracking movement. But what it does, and I'd heard this, but now that I've experienced it, I just wanted
This actually goes with this week's show too. Really.
Right, because it's a goal sort of thing. Is before I got on the show, I was I have a treadmill desk that's just kind of a shitty treadmill desk, but I
It's
can
DIY, right? It's kind of homemade.
Yeah, it's very DIY, and it isn't terribly comfortable, and it stops unexpectedly. But the reason I did it is because last Friday was like I only got like 5,000 steps. Like I was just like I have to, because Fridays are hard with the podcast, and then we go out to dinner. And so it does keep reminding me to move. And as writers, if we don't pay attention and we aren't careful about this, we sit a lot. And it's just not healthy. Like it's just not healthy to be sitting so long and not be moving. And so it's made me very mindful of I'd better get up and move around. I'd better, like Sean was tell your story about the thing where it didn't track it or something, right? And
well, that makes me
the sort of
seem
thing
like
that happens. That was my point.
So, all right. So, for a good story, when I was in Florida, I don't know, like 3 months ago, and I had just got the Fitbit, and when you travel, you don't get much movement in. And this was a horrible day of travel. I was on the runway for a few hours, and I was supposed to arrive in Florida like 11 in the morning, and I got there at past dinner time, 7 p.m. I think. And so I hadn't walked all day, and I was pretty miserable. And I did a little bit of walking at the hotel. I mean, at the airport. And by the end of the night, I was pretty far from my my daily walk count, and I knew it. And so I thought, and it was only because I was wearing the Fitbit, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna log in some more steps. So I went out and I went for like, I don't know, a mile and a half walk or something, and then I got back up to my room and I saw on my Fitbit that I was pretty close to my 10,000 steps for the day, but I wasn't going to go down and walk, and I just made laps in my hotel room until the thing buzzed and said, okay, you got your 10,000 steps, which I know Dave's shaking his head like that's so stupid. But it's just like those little things because, why not? I'm in the room. Well, the other day, and so I was talking to Johnny a couple of months ago and thought, hey, dude, they have this thing on Fitbit that if you got it, because Dave actually has a Fitbit, but it's with his NutriBullet.
Mine's called a fat bit.
It's around the NutriBullet.
So I said,
measuring the activity of the NutriBullet.
I said, dude,
it pings me and says, "Are you still alive? You haven't moved for 4 hours."
If you get a Fitbit, then there's these things you could do with like team goals or see who gets the most steps in the day. And I thought that'd be fun if Johnny got a Fitbit and we could, because I'm all alone in Fitbit land here. So he gets a Fitbit for Christmas, and Cindy gives me an Up Band from Jawbone. So like the day that all of a sudden we can do this together, we can no longer do it together, and it measures things a little bit differently. And the other day,
can't you just wear both? So that way, Johnny,
you took 20,000 steps. Yeah, there you go. Like literally.
It'd
be like when you get those the little wristband things, and you have like some people have like 50 of them because they're supporting many things.
Like those Goomies.
Right.
So I.
Hey, who wants to bet that Sean wore Goomies when he was a kid or teen?
I did not.
Okay, I thought you had for sure. Okay, go ahead.
No. So I don't like wearing stuff actually. The Fitbit is something, or the Jawbone at this point is something I had to get used to, comfortable with. But I like the benefits enough. But like I'm not like a jewelry guy at all or anything on me really. I'm very simple. But so the other day I left mine charging, and I went out for a walk, and and when I came back, I realized I'd gone on a long afternoon walk, and I didn't get credit for it.
Walk again?
Well, no, I was just kind of annoyed. Like it was late. I wasn't gonna like go leave the family.
Can't you like program it, like
no,
insert your own steps?
Manually add the steps, and I wanted to. I was like, look, I know I just took 2,000 steps, and I'm not getting credit. And then I hate telling this story. It makes me seem so bitchy. But,
does it help to say that I totally would do the same thing?
So at the end of the night, I was at 97%. And I was like, this is fucked up because now my graph, I'm a few days into the year, and it shows that like I'm not consistent. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So I had an internal battle because I didn't know if I should go outside and walk a little bit until the 3% was done so I get my ding, or have power over it and think this thing does not control me and just go to bed. I just went to bed at 97%. But
just get a dog and put it on its collar.
It probably knows. Johnny's Fitbit wasn't he wasn't getting his steps counted on the treadmill because his arms weren't moving.
Right. So I put it on my ankle, but I was pissed the other day because I didn't feel like it was crediting me appropriately for skiing, which is a workout. But my point is, the point of all these neuroses is that it does change my behavior, like because I'm just like mine counts flights too, and for some the default was like 10 flights, like that, 10 flights of stairs, and we just have a basement, and just through the course of the day I'll rack up a few flights of stairs. But if it's like I've gotten to 8 flights and my thing hasn't turned green in the app, which means I hit the goal, like it's an arbitrary goal. I didn't set the goal was set ahead of time. But I will then walk up and down the stairs twice because I'm like, damn it.
Wow, that's like OCD.
It is OCD, but it's OCD. This is the way to use your OCD for.
Yeah, this is making OCD your friend for sure.
Right,
yeah.
Dave. You unbox that Fitbit, and you start like I'm telling you, your OCD.
Go wild, dude. Go nuts.
It'll be great.
Yeah, I will say that it's small thing, but it really does affect my behavior, and that's a good thing because I want to live a long time, and I sit too much just as part of my normal day, and even that I'm standing a lot more than I was a year ago for sure, a couple hours a day at least. It's still in one place. Your body is designed to move. You're supposed to be moving, and if you're not getting in 10,000 steps a day, you are lowering your.
Making me pay attention to my sleep.
Yeah.
my heart
Right,
rate,
right.
and all
This
this
one,
stuff.
my original Fitbit did not track sleep, and I know that we're still on something cool here, but I think that it again is in service of the show. We're talking about behaviors and
And
goals.
anybody listening to this, more often than not, you're probably not moving enough.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just by nature, if you're an artist, if you're a creator, if you're a writer, you are spending a lot of time in one place. We were talking to Joanna yesterday, and she's walking a lot more. She's getting the dictation down because she wants to be in motion because it's important to movement. And my original Fitbit didn't track my sleep at all, but the Jawbone does, and it's been very interesting to watch how much light sleep I get versus deep sleep. I've been paying more attention to that too because it affects how alert and creative I am during the day. How much, not just how much sleep I'm getting, but the quality of my sleep. And also something that this does that I really like, and it's affected my behavior, is it has something called idle alerts. And if I'm sitting in one place,
I would get
Shit would
10,000.
probably piss me off.
yeah. So it's just every 30 minutes, and you can set the intervals, but mine's set for 30 minutes, and if I'm in 30 minutes, it just buzzes, and then I just get up and I go like refill my water or something. But it's just about moving the body, and I think that's really good. And the last thing it does, and I think this is pretty cool, is you can set it to, it knows basically, I think it's on your resting heart rate or something. It knows when you're in deep sleep versus light sleep. So it won't, I can set my alarm so that it'll buzz on my wrist when I'm in light sleep, so it won't pull me out of deep sleep or REM.
That's a nifty feature. I can't do that.
Yeah, and it's really cool. So I'll wake up when, I may even sleep longer than I would otherwise, but it wakes me up at a time when I could just bounce right out of bed, and that's really cool too.
Well, there you go. So I actually, Sean, if you want to check the chat real quick, I had a question. But this is like the point where I say, can we start petitioning for like the standing desk companies?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the name.
I know that Dave. I know that Dave liked Updesk, and there was
Updesk.
one that Dave liked Updesk. There was one that I was.
I want to say it was called Next Desk, but
yeah, I think it was Next Desk. So those guys, if you guys want to buy us the nice, fancy, adjustable standing desks, and we'll talk about them endlessly.
Very nice.
That Fitbit thing, I just want to point this out. Like, we don't have any sort of sponsorship, and nobody bought us these Fitbits other than like my mom bought me mine, and Cindy bought Sean his, and it's like we're not getting anything out of that. They're like, we talk about shit we like, so hey, buy us desks, guys. I'm gonna move soon. All right, so that was a long ass standing something cool for me. Do you have one, Dave?
No, Sean stole mine. I got the same damn book you got. He didn't mail it to me though. I actually had to buy it. Bastard.
How'd you like it? Have you started reading it yet?
I got to the wedding scene. No. No, I'm skipping around. It's one of those books where you kind of I skip around anyway.
You can't skip around.
Yeah,
it's not.
I like it. It's motivating. So I was looking for something to help motivate me and get some system. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole, gamifying my life sort of thing, but I do like the motivation there.
I don't think you need to do the whole gamifying your life. I think that it's like
Fitbit gamifies this shit for me.
Yeah, right. It's like any nonfiction book. I think you read it, and if there's 300 takeaways in the book, and you walk away with 4 that apply to you, that's a successful read.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's very well done, and it is motivating. So I like it. If I'm spending I think it was like $10 or whatever on a nonfiction book, and I like it, well, that's a good book.
Yeah.
Usually when I drop $10 on a nonfiction book and I hate it, I'm really pissed at the person that wrote it.
No, Steve's a great guy. Steve's a great guy, and I love his business. He's scaled it. I mean, if you listen to the Iterate and Optimize,
which should be. I mean, I know we've said this 10 times, but like literally, it should be up at sterlingandstone.net/fm very soon.
Yeah, we recorded
right
the last
now.
one yesterday. We recorded the last one. So, but Steve's built. He was one of those like bloggers, right? Like there's a ton of bloggers, and they're doing their thing, and then finally he really resonated with his audience in a way where they kind of helped him to shape the community, and all of a sudden it went from a little blog to a big business, and it's cool. So like. Again, it's just I think it's something that writers need to be paying more attention to, and with things like dictation, over time it should get easier to pay attention to it, right? Because you can be working while you're out, Although writers should be working while they're at anyway, if they're just thinking or paying attention to the world or listening to audiobooks or whatever. It doesn't pay to just sit at your desk all day. And I know that's harder if you actually have a desk job. And if you're just writing part-time, it might be harder to squeeze in your writing and exercise and all of this stuff. But even if you could just do it in, bite size, just be more aware of, take the stairs instead of the elevator, stuff like that. And having a Fitbit will make you more aware of those little decisions that, they really do add up to big results.
So I just want to close the loop. That was indeed NextDesk. NextDesk and UpDesk. Contact us, buy us desks. That'd be great. We'll talk about them all the time. Every something in it for everybody, except for the audience. All right, so I want to move into talking about goals, but first I have a problem that's really been dogging me in the realm of goals, and that's
dogging you or pecking you.
I made wow, callback to literally the worst show ever. It's wow, I don't know how to recover from that. I had a goal of having a non-shitty book cover that didn't make me want to kill myself, and I'm just going to give up, and we'll just finish. I'll just end my life because I don't know what to do.
Johnny.
Yes.
Pull the gun out of your mouth. There is a solution.
Oh, thank God.
Wait,
hold on. I'm supposed to have a gun in my mouth. Oh.
That didn't sound like a gun, but
well,
the good designers at 99designs.com have us covered.
Are they just good designers, Dave?
No, they're great. Like we said
How
before.
many of them are there?
Zillions.
Zillions.
It's really up to zillions right now.
Yes.
They've got people in other universes, as we've mentioned before, working. They just have designers all over us.
So if my math is correct, that's at least 1 million designers per citizen of Earth. Is that right?
Yes, you're covered. There will be no shortage. There will be no shortage of designers waiting to do your book cover. And they don't talk about this stuff like factually on their website, having zillions of designers, because they're modest, really.
They don't want to brag.
What's that?
They don't want to brag.
Right, they don't want to brag because they know how awesome they are.
Do they do like alternate? When we're talking about maybe alternate universes, do they filter out the evil ones with the evil doppelgangers, or?
I suppose they have a few evil designers for evil people. I mean, if the next Hitler wants a book cover, where is he going to go? Probably.
Why do you always go to Hitler?
He does go to Hitler. Yeah,
it's
I mean,
so
there you go.
often.
It's just like boom, Hitler on the mind all times. Or other evil people. There are other evil people demanding your attention.
Hitler's the biggest evil one. I mean, other than Satan, but come on, that's not
all right, so if Satan needed a book cover, he could probably find a really, really, really evil designer.
Maybe. But they'll still be a good designer because that's what 99 Designs has. We've gone to them several times, and we've always been happy with the work. I mean, it's one of those things where you want a professional-looking book cover, you go to the experts, and you go to people that are going to make a cover that's going to look like something that's in the stores, like a best-selling book. You want a best-selling book? You go there.
All right, and I want to get that service where I'm using somebody who's in a different timeline as well, so my book cover can be done in advance of me needing it. Therefore, I won't have anything to lose if I do it that way.
Yeah, and you don't even need the time travel feature that you're talking about because they are that quick. I mean, they will have your cover to you within a week or two. I mean, it's really that quick. So if you're planning your book right now and you want a great book cover, they got you covered. And I did not mean that horrible pun.
Is the time travel feature an additional cost?
They don't really. That's sort of a beta thing.
Yeah,
so
but
they don't talk about that. Yeah,
doesn't matter. So start custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP. I'm trying to think of some evil thing that I can say, and so I'm failing. Use that link, you'll get the free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99 evil dollars. And that'll get you more designer time and attention. So 99designs.com/SPP.
I can't imagine the folks at Updesk wouldn't hear our ad reads and just say, "Well, yes, we want those people talking about our shit."
But don't you know how many people would buy those desks? Because
if we can somehow tie Hitler and ayahuasca into desks, we will sell them.
that
Oh,
will
like
take
Hitler
3
on
hours.
ayahuasca wouldn't use an up desk or a next desk.
Hitler on ayahuasca would be the most awesome story ever.
It could be maybe Dave
Dibs.
and Chains could do the music for it for the soundtrack. All right, so how do we want to begin the goals discussion? Goals. I call this goals, resolutions, and kicking ass in the new year. So it's sort of a
Yeah, I don't think
generalized.
we should. I mean, if it naturally comes up in conversation, we can talk about some of ours specifically, but I don't think that's the point. We did
Nope.
do a 3-part almanac where we talked about all of the goals that we have for this year. But it's just the idea of, because a lot of people, and I think Dave's kind of an interesting case here because
I'm an interesting case.
well, you are an interesting case because Dave's somebody who likes to write down his goals, or maybe not write them down, but I've seen
I do write them down.
Over the time I've known Dave, he is a goal.
Dave, how often do you hit them? And I mean that seriously. Like, are you a goalkeeper or are you a goal maker? And
I'm a
do you
goal
pay attention to? That's good.
But okay, but see that in itself is the problem, because if you set a lot of goals but you don't regularly meet those goals, then you're basically training your brain that your goals don't have a lot of value. And if you do that,
I talked about this on The Walking Dave. I don't know if that episode has aired yet. Maybe you went ahead in time and listened to it. You work for 99.
I've been using 99 Designs, right?
Traveling design.
because that is true. I think that you basically it dilutes the value every single time, and then pretty soon I know I equate things to weight loss a lot, but I think that's because it's just so easy to understand, and it's the same thing. By the way, my band just buzzed because I've been sitting for half an hour.
It'd be cool if it shocked you as well.
It's progressive.
If you tell yourself, I'm not going to eat this thing, right? I'm not going to have potato chips. If potato chips are your weakness, and you say I'm not going to have potato chips, and you last 3 days, and then you eat potato chips, and you swear that you're not going to eat potato chips the next week, there's a part of your brain that's like, bullshit, buddy. You're going to be eating potato chips by Thursday, and so when Thursday comes, you've kind of already given yourself permission to break that covenant with yourself. And so setting goals, I think, is really important. I think writing goals down is really important because it gives them permanence. But I think that making sure that you set goals that you can hit and that you do hit and that you acknowledge them when you hit them, and that's not to say you should beat yourself up when you fail to meet your goals, because that's also bad. But making sure that you set goals that you can hit, and just little ones, and build on them bigger and bigger, I think is kind of the way to go.
That is along the lines of what I'm doing. I mean, it used to be when I would do New Year's resolutions, I would make these big lofty goals, like I'm going to lose 100 pounds this year. But
Right.
but it's so easy to lose track of a long-term goal like that. So this year I'm doing.
Well, it's also feeling defeated, because how many times have you, if you're going to lose 100 pounds in a year, and
I would have already lost like 12,000 pounds.
well, once March gets there and you've lost maybe 5 pounds, right, or even 10 pounds, like 10 pounds by March, that's pretty decent. You're hitting a pound or so a week, and that's healthy, safe, consistent weight loss. But if your goal is 100 pounds and you're only at 10 in March, you're going to feel defeated. You're going to feel like, well, I have 90 pounds to go and I only have 9 months to do it, and that's the wrong thing. It eliminates your ability to celebrate the positive.
Yeah, I'm doing one of those things where I'm basically making monthly goals, and then tracking those to see how well I do. And
how are you tracking? Are you just pen and paper?
I love pen and paper for most things.
So are you just writing it in a journal and then going back at the end of the month? And
I have a Hello Kitty journal that I write it in. Yes.
Dave, is this new for this year? Because all bullshit and joking aside, there is kind of a new Dave.
He's ruining worst show ever.
You kind of dismiss it every time we say something like this, but there are little things that I hear in the Walking Dave and other things that you do where I'm like, wow, that's something that I don't think would have come out the day with the Dave that I met.
Dave, old horrible Dave.
Well, the old Dave was lovable too, but the old Dave was not well in a lot of ways. But this Dave is
Dave's not well.
Dave's not here, man. So
Well, yeah, but a lot of Dave's success right now is coming from what? Consistency.
well, and stacking, I would argue too. It becomes easier, I think, to form a new habit, a new healthy habit, healthy being in any way, once you have successfully kept another healthy habit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that
and that's
everybody. Sorry, Dave.
well, that's the thing about, it got to the point where, I made the yearly goals like all the time, and I never lived up to them, and it became the point where like I was just like, why bother making goals in the first place? I'm just going to break them. So having these smaller goals, in monthly sort of frame, even the ones I don't succeed at, I think it's helpful because I can look at the ones that I did succeed at. So like, even if I ate crappy more days than I wanted to, I see that I walked every day. So that helps motivate myself, because otherwise, if I wasn't tracking at all, I would feel like a complete failure because I would only focus on the things I didn't do.
What would you
Right.
say are some? Go ahead, Sean.
No,
I was
no,
gonna.
no, by all means. No, go
Well, I
ahead.
was going to ask what you think are some of the biggest takeaways for people, because I think a lot of people say I have goals, and I don't think it's enough to just kind of have goals. I think you need to make goals, which almost sounds semantic. It's not, because I think a lot of us feel like we know where we're going, and you don't actually stop and think about a few things. Number one, what specifically? Number two, how am I doing? And number three, why? I've given this example a few times, but this is an ends versus means thing. For a while, a non written down but definite goal I had, I have told this a few times, was to get a PhD. And when I realized that I was doing it to get a PhD, to have one, nothing to do with my future, anything, that's when I stopped. I dropped out of grad school. And I think that you might think, I want to be a New York Times bestseller. And then you say, well, why? Or you could achieve it, but you'd need to do it. You'd need to take like your only book that you're banking on in some strategic way and put it in a 99-cent box set with 50 other authors and make a few bucks. And yes, then you're technically a New York Times bestseller if you manage it, but
That's so what?
you've shot yourself in the foot, right? So I think you need to ask why, how I'm doing, and to actually be specific about the goals that and how are you going to be accountable, quantifiable stuff.
Well, it's that measuring that's really important, because you can't measure what you don't track, and it's much more difficult to improve the things that you don't measure, right? So it's setting your ultimate goal, and Dave's got this year. Instead of setting big, ambitious yearly goals, he's doing monthly goals because they're way easier to kind of check in with, and not just feel the success of, oh, look at what I did this month, but also now here's what I can add to it. So here's something really small and kind of stupid, whatever, but I've started to do planking, right? I do it with Ethan. Shut up, dude. Right? I do it with Ethan. Ethan.
Dave, you don't even know the number of things that Sean and I will say, okay, now I'm going to tell you this, but you can't tell Dave. Because he'd laugh at us.
So Dave, or
the whole
Ethan,
subculture there.
It is. So Ethan wants to do planks. So we started over Christmas vacation. We started doing planks together. And
do you want to explain briefly what that is, Sean?
Oh, well, yeah, it's like holding a push-up position, but you just hold it, and it works your core, and your core is the most important part of your body.
So is this is different from that phase that everybody had, that fad where
YouTube
people were
videos.
Yes,
taking pictures of themselves planking on a bench.
Yeah, no, this isn't
Well,
that.
that's what I thought you were doing.
Right, so you are exercising with your son is probably the way I would have said that. I wouldn't have said you guys are going out planking.
No, I'm exercising with Ethan.
He did shoot this video of me on a park.
No, and once we started doing that, I realized, okay, well, because I realized that my core wasn't as strong as I wanted to be, so I said, all right, I wanna be able to hold a plank for 2 minutes, and that's hard, like holding a plank. Johnny could probably do it like while juggling with his butt cheeks or something, I don't know, but for me, holding a plank for 2 minutes is hard, and I said, you know what, like it shouldn't be hard. I should be able to do that.
I did that once when I had the personal trainer several years ago. He tried to get me to do that.
The personal trainer in the box next to the NutriBullet.
Did you do it for 20 seconds and then vomit?
I just about, yeah, I almost did vomit, and I fell like a plank on the floor, just flat. I was like, "How's this? How's this for plank?"
Yeah, it's rough if you don't do it, but it's also so good for just your mobility and all of that. So I said, you know what, I want to get to a 3-minute plank by the end of the year, and I want to do a 2-minute plank by the end of Q1, and I think I can do that. And so I can do a minute, no problem. And I thought the best way to do this is just add 1 second every day. If I do a plank every day and every day I add a second, then shouldn't be any problem. And I've been doing that every day since the first day of the year. And Ethan and I get out in the morning and we do our planks and we hold it for 1 second longer. And it's just that tiny, like 1 second a day is so easy to just add on to what you're already doing. And you can apply that 1 second a day to anything. If you're saying, I'm a self-published author, I need to create more work than I am right now, because my production just isn't what it's going to be if I want to accomplish my dreams of being a successful middlist author, let's say. So, if you want to, let's say you're doing 300 or 400 words a day right now, that's good. If you're consistently doing that, that's great. That really adds up. But maybe you want to get to 500. So every week you just add 10 words to your daily goal. But you do that every single week. By the end of the year, that's substantial gains that you have made.
That is, I do have a mini goal related to books, actually, because I've been wanting to do a children's book for a while, and I keep getting derailed, my own fault. And so my goal for this month is to draw out like a rough draft for the children's book that I want to do, and not to have it done, not to have it in workable shape, but just to have something that I can move forward to the next month, and then within a few months I can have it done if I stick to my goals.
Right. It's just incremental stuff, and I think people tend to be real black and white about it, right? Where it's like, if they can't do this big thing that they want and they can't do it all, then why even bother? And that's just the worst way to think about it.
Yeah, semi-related, and I don't know how you guys will feel about this, but I'm a fan of kind of overshooting goals. I actually mean the opposite of what that probably sounds like. So you might make goals and you might say, well, what if I don't hit my goals? But what always happens is you will be further along, even if you don't hit the goal, than you would have otherwise. So there's a ton of value in that. So I was actually thinking of the 2015 Sterling and Stone goals. Now, to some degree or another, we kind of killed it on all of those goals. But there were a few. I know that Launch Fiction Unboxed 2. Like we didn't even do as much as we thought we were gonna, but we know where it's going. We haven't lost track of it, and just from a technical standpoint, like we give us credit for Move Johnny to Austin. Well, technically I'm not there yet. It's 2016, but I know when I'm moving the last 2 weeks of March, and it is largely that goal that kept me trained on it, because moving is not easy, and I don't know. I imagine we'll mention some of our goals as examples just to maybe give you an idea later. But it does have a way of, even if you don't hit the goals, you get a hell of a lot further than you would otherwise.
Well, I think just even putting something out there. So a 2015 example that I would use is build an app, right? So we actually didn't know what build an app meant. It wasn't.
We thought it would be something entirely different.
Yeah, like I had the Beats idea for something like that, early in the year, and I thought maybe we do like a fiction app where it's something where our
we deliver to our people or something, right?
But it's the idea of we're a forward-thinking company, that's a space that we want to experiment in, so let's think about it. But Story Shop became this whole separate thing, which is going to be a large part of our 2016, and in 2015 it was just a very nebulous goal of let's build an app.
I would say it's even a better goal now because other people are going to benefit from it.
Right. It's a much better goal, and it's the idea that you don't even have to necessarily have a lot of specificity in your goals. If you have a big goal for the year is build an app, and you kind of check in with that every month. But that's the key. It's checking in with it. It's not just writing a list of goals and then forgetting about it. It's actually, so Sunday is my planning day. and every day Sunday, I'm kind of religious about it. I sit down with my laptop and I do it before anybody gets up. Like the house is very quiet, and I get up just like it's a work day. I don't sleep in on Sundays, mostly because even if I wanted to, I'm just up. My brain's up. I'm ready to go. Jawbone's kicking me out of bed, right? So I'm sitting there and I plan and I think about what I want to accomplish that week. I get honest with myself about what I could have done better the week before.
And I always get an email Sunday night saying,
Dave,
fuck up.
Dave does get emails and Slacks on Sunday mornings. Garrett always gets the where are compiles, emails on Sunday or Monday. Yeah, Sunday. And so it's a really good time to plan, but I don't just look at the things I need to get done. I actually take the time on Sunday to look at my long-term goals, like what I want for the year, what I want for the next 5 years and 10 years. And it's not like there's a lot of actionable stuff in, the stuff that I'm planning 5 years from now. But I think it's important to just kind of touch base with it, look at it, remind myself, so that I'm always knowing where I'm going.
Well, it opens your eyes. So there's actually a part of your brain called the reticular activating system that trains. It's basically you get attuned to something that is important to you. And the example that people always give when they're talking about this is if you buy a certain kind of car, you'll suddenly start noticing that kind of car everywhere. I've started noticing Honda Odysseys because we bought one a little while ago. And the way you could look at that is like, wow, the shitload of people suddenly got Honda Odysseys. And no, they were always there. It's just that your brain is looking for them now. And that's the way Story Shop feels to me. Because if you know Story Shop's origin story, Sean and Seth were just talking, just to catch up, right? And then you started talking about an idea he had, and I would guess that just because, there's an opportunity to we have this app goal. It opens your eyes to possibilities.
Yeah, it was. Seth actually got me on the phone to talk about an app idea that he had and get feedback. And then I totally unintentionally shanghaied him and told him all about this other app idea, which he fell in love with, and that ended up becoming Beats, and then Master Beats, and then Story Shop eventually. But Johnny's absolutely right. If I wasn't always looking at that list and thinking about it and thinking about what would our app be and what do we want to do and what are the things we want as a company, then I would have just had that conversation with Seth and given him feedback on his app, and we would have gone off the phone and it would have been over and done, and Story Shop wouldn't exist. And it's a matter of having big goals, and there is no goal that's too audacious as long as it's not just something that you write down and forget about. Everything needs to be broken into smaller parts. There's no recipe in the world that is just the name of the dish. They are all made up of ingredients that you have to put together. And goals are the same way. They're multiple steps. There are intervals of time. There's growth that needs to happen.
I don't know if you would be comfortable with this, so say if you're not, but I almost, Sean, want you to mention some of your personal goals that I can sense in the background, because they're kind of the opposite of like the productivity writing goals. And I told Sean, I sent him a Slack and I said, I'm proud of you for something over the break. Are you willing to talk about any of that at all?
Yeah, I don't mind, I guess.
What I was proud with, I'll just tell this story. So we had a week between Christmas and New Year's, and there was a project that we needed to have a story meeting about. And but neither of us really wanted to work that week. We were just like, I don't want to schedule a story meeting. And so the way we sort of jokingly said it was, wink, wink, if I'm going to go on walks and you're going to go on walks, and if we happen to be on a walk at the same time, then let's talk because it's kind of fun. And so Sean takes his walks he takes two. He takes one in the morning, one in the afternoon, but over break he had been taking them with Ethan in the afternoon. And so those were spoken for. And so I'd get Slacks like, hey, just so you know, it's like that episode of Friends where Joey says, I'm going upstairs to take a nap, to Ross. That's where I'll be, taking the nap. And just so you know, I'm taking a break. Well, for me, I'm taking a walk. That's my downtime in the morning. I want to sit around if I'm on vacation, I just want to hang out in the front room with my laptop on my lap and watch TV with my kids and screw around.
It's
And so
also minus a million degrees too, right?
yeah, well, actually, it was pretty warm that week, and so I could have said, okay, I'll take a walk because it's a story meeting, or what Sean used to do is I'll tell Ethan that he can't go this time. We'll make it work. We'll work it out because we got to do the story meeting. And that didn't happen because we couldn't find a time where we literally both were just going to take a walk anyway. And so when it was over, I said, I'm proud of you, dude. You didn't force in that story meeting, which is what you would have normally done, and that's what this story is.
Yeah, I have a tendency to one of my this is another one of my goals that's very similar is I have a tendency to not ask for things. It's something I need to get better at. I'm not very good at asking or receiving. If somebody gives me something, like I feel all embarrassed and shy and like, oh, thanks. Like I'm appreciative. It's not that I'm not appreciative. It's just that I don't know. Like I'd rather give than receive almost always. And
no wonder you gave that guy money.
What?
Shoe guy. The shoe guy in New Orleans.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'd rather give the wow, that's so
digging deep.
That's how my brain works.
But that guy, that's so general.
I figured you were all thinking the same thing as me.
Everybody's obsessing about that guy all the time.
I'm gonna find him.
So
and I'm not giving him my money.
So
I'm giving him a shoe in the ass.
I would, generally speaking, I rather give than receive, and I have a very hard time asking for things. I don't like to say I would like this thing. I don't, and so but it's something that I've always think I've wanted to be better about it, and I'm just not. And I actually made it a formal written goal for myself this year to be better about asking and to be better about taking what is best for me. And Johnny's right. In that situation, I wouldn't have asked for, hey, let's just wait until New Year to do it. And, I would have made it work, and I wanted to do, like, I was enjoying each of those.
And just so you know, that's uncomfortable for the other person too sometimes.
Yes, no, I know.
Because I know you're doing that. I know that you're like, oh, well, I'd rather walk with my son, but okay, whatever you need.
Yeah, right. And it's very true. And we were playing basketball every day. We walked to elementary school and played basketball, and he loved it, and it was great for us. But I don't know. It's you have to. But that's actually a good example because that's uncomfortable for me. Like I am just a I don't know, a peacekeeper by nature. Like I want things to work for everybody, and but that's not always the best thing to do, and it makes me uncomfortable sometimes. But goals, like basically my feeling on goals is that if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And so what's the point? When you're articulating goals for things that you want to put into practice, they should be uncomfortable. They should be things that are difficult for you to do. And even if the end result is very uncomfortable, then just make sure that the incremental growth in between A and Z is just enough. It's not so painful in tiny slices, even if the end result feels like it's painful. Daily burn is, I know I've talked about daily burn, that I've been doing that. It's just it's a subscription service that you pay for. I think it's $13 a month, and you get workouts. There's programs that you can do every day. And the one I'm on right now, I hate it so much. Like, as Dave would say, I'd rather have lunch with Hitler. It's just the worst thing every day. But I know that the next time I get through it, like, it's going to be easier. It's going to be way easier. Right now, like, it's like these exercises called like hydraulic lower body, and it's basically like 40 minutes of just punishment. So anyway.
But that's another thing about goals is it's really easy to look, especially since we're on a writing show, writing and publishing, and talking about books and writing and publishing. It would be really easy to say, well, my goals are to write a certain number of books, to get my funnels in order, to make a certain number of sales or dollars, and it's important to say things like, it's just my example, so whatever, like get a Fitbit, because I need to move more. Make 10,000 steps a day. I mean, that's just an example, but in Sean's case, don't derail something that I already have planned or with my family to do work all the time. Like it's important to make goals outside of to make goals in every area of your life. Like think physical, emotional, spiritual. Like I've been trying to meditate a little bit. Like so far I've only managed like 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, but it's something. Like that's a little bit of a peace thing for me. And in addition to professional goals, so keep that in mind too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I have, the Sterling and Stone goals are clearly, exhausting. Like it's a big, long, multi-page
John took 50
list.
goals and just made them into 10 goals with
sub
5
goals.
supplements each.
Yeah.
7 pages.
Yeah, I think it is 27 pages. I think Dave's right. But whatever, like those are my professional goals. Those are our shared visions, right? But I also have, goals, financial goals and physical health goals and, goals for things I want to do with my family and that you need to be rounded in that way. And I also think that that you want to be specific too. I'm sorry, they derail me with their stupid chat. But I think you need to be specific too. I think you need to be ask yourself the hard questions, because when you're setting goals, you really want to set the right goals, and that requires a conversation with yourself. Ask yourself what you really want. Ask yourself why you want it. And then kind of detail those things down and then break it down into smaller pieces that are munchable chunks that you actually can do.
Munchable chunks.
Munchable chunks. Do you want to? We're actually a little bit behind, so we do have some time. Do you want to give examples of some of the Sterling and Stone goals? Maybe the ones that would be most applicable to this crowd, or no, because it's too niche.
Well, let me open the list and I'll glance through it. I will say, if you want our detailed list, you can listen to the almanacs that I think will air, let's say, the 25th, and then the 2 weeks after that.
So that's the Authorpreneur's Almanac podcast, which is with all the others at sterlingandstone.net/FM.
They're 9 hours per episode.
Yeah. Well, no, it's all told, it's about an hour. It's about an hour of goals, and really it really is just a list. But if you're interested in what we're doing to incrementally grow the business, you will be interested in it. If you're not, then it is super hyper boring. But that is kind of what the almanac is. Like it is,
super hyper boring. That's its tagline.
That's a new tagline.
We talk about staffing. That's kind of boring. This is interesting. I like this one. More synergy among the imprints and the partners. So in the way that we tell our stories, and the way, now Garrett has joined us as an author, and I would like us to not just tell stories together. That's something that's kind of hard, because Realm and Sands has its story worlds here, and Inkwell has its story worlds here, and Legendary has Underrealm, and it's kind of hard to get in that story world. And I think that we'll do that at some time. Probably not this year, although it's good to start thinking in that direction. But just being more of a part of one another's worlds a little bit, in the way that we're trying to move each imprint forward. So if you are listening to the Almanac, then the one that aired this week was interesting. It's the first one that Johnny did, actually, and he explains why he did it. And part of it is that, we have been operating Sterling and Stone in a very silo fashion, with like, this imprint over here and this print over here, and this one over here, and we need to be thinking more globally, and how each of us, as the partners and the authors and the creators, can help the other imprints to improve, because it's very easy to lose sight of that. We want to close a lot of boxes. We've really started telling a lot of stories that we'd like to kind of finish out, and that's true for all the imprints. Grow Story Shop to our first 1,000 users. That's actually a pretty good goal, because it's so specific. It's not just blow Story Shop up. It's get our first 1,000 users, because that will make it a truly viable app.
And that's an important thing too, is quantifiable. If you say blow Story Shop up or get a lot of momentum with Story Shop, two things are going to happen. You're going to number one, not know what that means. Like, what does it mean? Did I blow it up or not? And number two, your perception is going to change. Right. So it'd be real easy to have a lot of momentum, and let's say we open. I'm just making this up. Let's say you open the doors and there's 700 new people who join right away in the first week, and then you're like, oh my God, we're going to have 100,000 people by the end of the year, and then by the end of the year you have your 1,000 because it just takes that long. You're going to feel like you missed the goal just because of the changing nature of it.
Yeah, and so it's important, and I actually talk about this one in a lot of detail in the almanac, but it's focus on getting that first user, and then 10, and then 100, and 1,000, and it's actually a really good example of what we've been talking about today, which is taking a big goal, which is get 1,000 Story Shop users, and break it down into smaller pieces that you can actually achieve, because it's really easy to see. How are we going to get our first user, our first non-Kickstarter user? It's pretty easy to imagine getting 1. It's pretty easy imagining going from 1 to 10, and from 10 to 100, and from 100 to 1,000. But 1,000 is just a really big number, in those terms. My favorite thing on this list probably is take our first major step into film, and that could be anything from getting a TV deal to selling our first screenplay. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do there, but I feel almost certain that we'll sell a screenplay this year, and that's very, very exciting.
It was cool reading the Crash screenplay.
I just read the Santa Exposed screenplay. That was also cool.
Oh, yeah, actually, that would have been a good something cool today. We can save that for next week, though.
I didn't say it was cool.
We have two screenplays that are on the road. We've been working with Justin Sloan, and he's been working on both the Crash and the Santa screenplay, and that's exciting. That's a very cool place to be. I think that we're actually moving in that direction. Strengthen our podcast lineup. We talk again in a lot more detail on this in the almanac, but I think we did a great job launching the network and getting those initial shows, but we want to do a better job of how they're all tied together and what their purpose is, and also adding a lot of really fantastic shows to the lineup. And that's it. There's a bunch of micro goals for each of the imprints. And again, if this is interesting to you, you really should listen to the almanac. And if it's not, definitely don't. Oh, I will say the last one on this list is get Dave to Austin, which I think is.
I want to know if you got Dave's permission before putting that on there.
No, of course not. He would have said no.
On December 31st, a group of men are going to come with a black sack and abduct me and my family and move us to Austin.
Right, it's easier with Dave because you just pay the shipping.
It's going to be awesome.
All right, so we'll be done. Like Sean said, a lot more details on the almanac. I will just mention again, because I'm a whore, that the Smarter Artist Summit is it's ticking down. So we got under 100 tickets left, and so if you want to join us, that's March 30th and 31st in Austin, Texas. So it's 2 days, 7
2 days
speakers,
with Dave.
2 days with Dave, 7 speakers plus us, and then a lot of people who aren't on the speaker roster who you would recognize their names who are just coming. So like I don't want to say because I don't know for sure if she's going, but somebody emailed us recently.
Yeah, we got another one today. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of people. It'll be 200 people in the speakers.
It's this community. It's
amazing.
the self-publishing podcast Smarter Artist community, and
you're going to go home smarter with a bunch of ideas, and that's what happens.
And maybe Dean Kuntz will be there, maybe not.
The whole point of this was to gather.
You did say maybe.
The whole point of this was to gather our community in the same place for the first time, and I think we've done an excellent job at that, and I'm really excited for it.
So again, smarterartistsummit.com, and check it out. Don't delay if you want to get in on that. So that's it, and we'll see you next week. And if you're live, stay tuned for Worst Show Ever, which will be terrible. Bye, everybody.
Yes.